Chapter 1 of Algebra is going to focus on expressions, equations, and functions. Today's lesson, section 1.1, is going to focus specifically on variables and expressions, and then we are also going to cover section 1.2, which is order of operations. From section 1.1, you should be learning how to write an expression when you are given a sentence, and vice versa, how to write the sentence if you are given the expression. An algebraic expression is a mathematical sentence. It contains numbers, variables, and at least one of the four math operations, which again are adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. A variable is a symbol. In this case, we're going to use letters to stand for something that we don't know in the problem. A term is each separate part of an expression. So for example, if I have x plus 7, I have two terms. X is a term and 7 is a term. And then factor is another vocab word that talks about when there are quantities being multiplied. One other thing that we need to review is what an exponent is. Exponents are made up of two parts, the base and the actual exponent. The base tells us what number is being multiplied, and the exponent tells us how many times. So for example, if we have 5 to the third power, 5 is being multiplied 3 times, and that would give us an answer of 125. Few things that we want to review before we talk about expressions and how we write them is some keywords that you could find in a word problem. So for example, addition, some words that you're going to look for might be sum, plus, increase, more than, or total. Again, that's not a complete list of words. You can always check out the poster hanging up on the side of my classroom for more words. Some examples for subtraction include minus, difference, take away, decrease, and less than. Multiplication, one key word that we need to remember is product. Another one would be times. Multiplication doesn't have quite as many as the other ones. You'll see that on the poster in my classroom as well. But those are the two big ones that we need to cover. Division is quotient, split into, cut up, shared equally. There are a lot of other words that can mean these different math operations, but this is just a short list to get us started. So, part of this lesson focus on if we are given an expression written out algebraically, can we put it back into a sentence, or can we be able to speak it out loud so that someone else knows what's happening in this equation? There's a lot of different ways that you can write these out. I'm going to give you a couple. Again, that's not everything, but it's a good place to start. So for example, I could say 1/2 of A increased by the quotient of 6 times B and 7. A couple of key things with what I did here. First, the numbers, anything less than 10 needs to be written out. So I wrote out the word run, I wrote out the word 6, and I wrote out the word 7. So if your number is less than 10, it has to be written out as a word. If it's greater than 10, you can write it out as an actual number expression. I used some keywords like increase and quotient. Another example of how this could be written out would be the sum of half of A and 6B divided by 7. Again, this is not the only ways that you can write this out. That's just a couple of different examples. So I want you to take a minute and try writing a sentence on your own for this particular expression. Again, there are many ways to write out this. Here is just a list of 4 possible examples. Again, what you typed in might not match exactly what I have up here, but if it's something along the same lines, that's okay. If you have questions about it, please let me know when you get to class. The other thing that we can do is take it from a sentence and turn it into the algebraic expression. So, for example, we've got 10 less than the product of 7 and G. Keywords that we can pick out are less than, which is going to tell us subtraction, and product, which is going to tell us multiplication. One thing that you're going to notice is that there's actually a problem with the sentence that they have written. They should have written out 7 instead of typing the number 7. To turn it into the actual algebraic equation, we have the product of 7 and G, which is 7G. Now that we are in algebra, we don't want to put that multiplication symbol in between the 7 and the G. We use just 7G, that is better math grammar. And then we want 10 less than that. One key thing about the phrase less than is the number in front is always going to come after the subtraction sign. So take a moment, read the expression, and try and write out the algebraic version. So there are 2 different ways you could have written this out: 250p plus 300k, or 300k plus 250p. If you have questions about this or anything else from the lesson, please let me know when you get to class.